Hello everyone! In today's video, I will be showing you how I made the now famous 1910 cape from American Duchess. Okay, so step one, we have to get our pattern. So follow along with me as I show you exactly how to get it. First up, we need to look up 1910 cape. So the first thing that comes up is a blog post from American Duchess called #AD_CapeCult. You want to click that link. Now that this is loaded up, you're going to want to scroll down a little bit, and it says right here, if you'd like to download this pattern, please visit our Patreon. So you're going to want to click that. So this is going to go over to the American Duchess Patreon. They have a lot of amazing different information and patterns and a really amazing discussion. So if you want to join their Patreon, I'm sure they'd appreciate it. We're just going to get to the pattern. So again, you're going to want to scroll down here to the Wrap Cape Pattern Fixed PDF. Click and download that. Okay, so now that's opened up in PDF. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go to the first page. We're going to go to print, and we're just going to want to print this current page, and we're going to want to go to tile scale to 438%, and we're going to want to hit poster. So that's going to split it up into 20 different pages, and I worked out the numbers. I spent the hour or two figuring out the exact percentage so that it's the perfect scale, but you always want to check because there could have been some sort of change. This will be very close, so you won't have to do much finagling in order to get it perfect just for you. And then you're going to want to print that off, and then the next thing we're going to want to do is go to the next page. And for whatever reason, the scale up percentage is not the same. So you want to do each of these pages at a different time, set each one up individually. So for this next page, which is just the sleeve of the cape, you're going to want to go back to print. And you're going to want to put in 498%. And again, hit the poster. Just the current page. And you're going to print that too. Again, printing the first page, checking to make sure that it matches the grid, and then you can go from there. A few of the things that I noticed while I was sewing this is that the back of the cape does not match the length of the cape sleeve, matching up the correlating marks here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to extend this bottom here by 2 inches. And then that way it'll be the same length of the cape. Conversely, you could also decrease the cape bottom by 2 inches. Another thing is I did extend this by a little bit, just so it didn't wrap quite so tight around me. I think I extended mine by 3 inches, but you're welcome to leave it as it is. If you put some ribbon out the bottom, then this wouldn't have been an issue. And then the last thing that I did notice is that these two lengths are off by about an inch. So you just want to make sure that when you're cutting out your patterns, you're going to check those and true those up a little bit before you're cutting out your fabric. But other than that, it's a beautiful pattern, it's super easy, so once you have it cut out, let's get to sewing. Once you have your pattern pieces cut out, the first thing I started with was the darts on the front of the wrap of the coat. Be slow and careful when marking out your darts, as both sides need to match up when sewing the lining and the fashion fabric together. This is especially important if you are doing the same as me and making the coat reversible. I am now just going ahead and pinning along the marked darts, matching the two sides together. Once it is pinned, I can go ahead and sew right along the marked lines. I finished the point of the darts off by tying off my threads rather than backstitching. This helps the dart lay nice and flat. You'll want to repeat this for all 3 darts. Once the darts are sewn, you want to trim away any excess fabric behind the dart down to about 1/4 of an inch, and press the seam down flat. Go ahead and repeat these steps for all 4 front wrap pieces, which for me is the black side and the blue side. I then went ahead and added the decorative velvet color contrast to the collar. Once done, I put these pieces aside. The next step was to attach the front wrap to the back at the shoulder. All of my seams were sewn with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. As this pattern does not come with seam allowance added, you can set this at whatever you are most comfortable sewing with. Once the shoulders are sewn, the seam is pressed open. My fabric has a plastic polyester backing on the wool to make it warmer. This is wonderful for the wearer, but it does mean you have to be very careful when ironing, as it can be easily melted. If you are using a similar fabric, be sure to use a pressing cloth over the area you are ironing. Now we can attach the cape sleeves to the body of the coat. Make sure to line up the indication marks at the shoulder seam where the front wrap ends. Pin together and sew. Once attached, I took my pinking shears and trimmed down the seam allowance. This will help the seam lay flat and clean over the shoulder curve. Give the whole seam a good press. Repeat these steps for the other side. Next is to attach the collar. Again, lining up the indication marks, pin, sew, and press. You know the drill by now. And with that, you have one side of the coat complete. Repeat all of the previous steps for your lining or contrasting color. Now we want to sew both sides of the coat together. I did this with the bag lining method. I left an opening big enough for my hand at the topmost section of the collar and pinned the entire edge of the coat together, good sides facing each other. 100 million pins later, I took the now heavy coat to my sewing machine and sewed the entire edge together, minus the opening mentioned before. Next, you want to trim all of the corners, like the collar, the ends of the front wrap, and the bottom of the cape sleeves, as well as clipping any inverted corners. Then, with the opening we left, we can pull the whole thing right side out, using a point turner to clean up the corners. You now want to give the entire coat a very thorough press. This will take a while, but I promise you, if you take your time, it will be worth it. This will also help the coat flip smoothly when transitioning between each color sides. This is also when you can start to get excited, as we are almost done our cape. With the whole cape nicely pressed, we need to close that opening we left at the top of the collar. To do this, I gave the entire collar some edge top stitching. This will help keep it more crisp looking and will neatly hide that opening we have in the middle. All that is left to add is a means to attach the wraps behind our back when wearing the cape. For easy closing and maneuvering, I added a single large hook and eye on the end of each wrap side, as well as clothing tags, as this coat will be going up on my Etsy page for sale. If this is something that interests you, then please go check that out. And with that, your reversible 1910 cape is complete. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you'd like to see next. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you know when I post a new video. Thank you all for watching. See you next time!